Have you ever felt like the universe was punishing you? Like no matter how hard you try, life just keeps knocking you down, over and over again? Let me tell you a story. A story about a young man who hit rock bottom. No money, no support, completely alone. He was one step away from giving up until one random act of kindness changed everything. This story isn't just emotional, it's a mirror for every young hustler who's trying, failing, and wondering if it's even worth it. And here's the thing, by the end of this story, you might cry, but I promise you, you'll smile too, because sometimes rock bottom isn't the end, it's the foundation. His name was Amir, 24 years old, fresh out of university. Big dreams, big ideas, but zero resources. He came from a small town where dreams were luxuries, not rights. Everyone told him the same thing: be realistic, get a job, forget this business nonsense. But Amir, he had that fire. He wanted to build something, not for fame, not for money, but for freedom, for pride, for his future. So he moved to the city with nothing but a backpack and an old laptop that froze every 10 minutes. He took odd jobs, slept in shared rooms, worked 12-hour shifts, and spent nights building a startup no one believed in. At first, it was exciting. That grind felt powerful. He was broke, but he had purpose. But as the months passed, the startup failed. Clients ghosted him, bills piled up, his savings dried out. He started skipping meals just to save money. His friends stopped calling. Even his family back home started saying, maybe it's time to come back. Maybe it's just not for you. He laughed it off on the outside, but inside, he was drowning. One night, it was raining hard. Amir was sitting at a roadside tea stall, soaking wet, laptop dead, phone out of data. He had just walked 5 kilometers from a job interview that ended in rejection. He looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Why me? I'm trying. I'm doing everything right. Why isn't anything working?" He was done. He decided this would be his last day chasing the dream. Tomorrow, he'd go back home, start fresh, give up on the fantasy. As he stood up to leave, a homeless old man approached him. The man smiled and said, "Beta, you dropped this." It was a worn-out notebook Amir always carried, his idea book, his vision board, his last piece of hope. The old man handed it back and then, surprisingly, sat next to him. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world," the old man said. Amir forced a smile. "It's just been a long road." The old man looked at him and said, "Let me tell you a story." There were 2 seeds lying side by side in the soil. One said, "I want to grow. I want to send my roots deep into the soil and shoot up toward the sky. I want to feel the sun on my leaves and dance in the wind." The other seed said, "I'm afraid. If I send my roots into the ground, what if I hit a rock? If I try to grow, maybe a bird will eat me before I even sprout." So the second seed stayed in the soil and eventually rotted away. The first one, it became a tree. The old man looked at Amir and said, "Don't rot in fear, Beta. You've already planted yourself. Now grow, even if you're scared." Then he stood up, handed Amir a dry pack of biscuits, and walked away into the rain. That night, Amir didn't sleep. He reread every idea in his notebook. He redesigned his plan. He messaged 50 potential clients. He stayed up until dawn, just trying. 2 days later, a small business owner replied. They loved his proposal. He got his first client. A week later, his second. A month later, he had enough to rent his own room. That one moment of compassion, that one story, and one sentence, "Now grow. Even if you're scared," it lit a fire in him that never went out. Amir now runs a small agency. He employs 3 others from his hometown. He mentors young people starting their journey. And yes, he still carries that same notebook. You never know which moment will change your life. Sometimes the lowest point is just the plot twist before the rise. So if you're struggling right now, keep going. Even if you're scared, even if you're tired, your story isn't over yet. And who knows, one day you might be the reason someone else decides not to give up. Because this one story, it made me cry, but it made me smile even more.